Good morning, Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Let's fall in love today. Welcome to Pride Sunday. I am the Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. I am joined by Service Associate Gloria Pearlstein and Clara Kelly, who is the chair of our welcoming congregation team. Our vocal ensemble, thank you so much. What a way to start this service. They're joining us. Julie Morris is providing music, as is Tad. Clara Kelly leading hymns as well. Plus a special performance at the end of the service by Vanessa Schimmer. Our tech team is Deborah Mensch, Larry Sherwood, and Karen Griglak on Zoom. It is Pride Sunday here. It's actually Pride Month. And so today, I hope that the power of our welcome words might mean even more to you on this day, and what we are really, really intending to do here. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. No matter how you do it, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life. Somebody's just getting that now. You are welcome here. And whether today you come with laughter in your heart or with tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome everyone here today. If you're new here, we're really glad you found us. Each Sunday is different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. And we have many opportunities during the week for people to connect spiritually and socially, and doing the work of social justice. If you're on Zoom, you'll start to see some links coming into the chat that tell you ways that you can get connected. Those of you who are here can go to the welcome table following the service, or look for somebody with a little Ask Me badge on. Or really, chat it up with anybody, and we'll help you get connected. I do have a few announcements today. We're doing them at the front of the service this morning. There is a link for a kudo board for Jessica Lakeman. She was our director of Lifespan Faith Formation. Her last Sunday was last Sunday, and we're collecting gratitudes and acknowledgments of her 4 years of service with us. So there's a link going into the chat for Jessica for the kudo board, which is an online little thing. Or you can write a card over at the table for her, or sign a card for group cards. Also, we need folks to sign up to share your passion. If you are here, that is going to be working with our children and youth during the services in the summer. Specifically next week, we need an adult. Our kids will be gathered around in front. It's an all ages service. It'd be great to have another adult hanging out with our kiddos during that time. And on July 2nd, it's Slip and Slide Sunday. So an adult or two out there with our School of the Spirit staff would be great, too. After the service today, I'm leading the last class for this season of my Faith Like a River. Wonderful conversations about theology and history and Unitarian Universalism. And you're welcome to join me. It's a drop-in class. And we'll be in the Mountain View room, which is that way, around 11:30, and we do provide snacks. It's a 2-hour class. And Clara is going to give our next announcement.
Good morning, friends. Some of you might have noticed, if you watch the news or read Twitter like me, that there have been an insane number of laws being passed to harm our trans friends around the country, in practically every state, not ours. But it's a huge concern, And so for our welcoming congregation renewal, which we're working on right now, and we're almost done, you guys. This is our last thing. We're so excited that we're almost there. But the last thing is we need 20% of our membership to participate in a UUA seminar. And we've chosen one about helping combat anti-trans legislation. We thought it was really timely. So next week at 3 o'clock, here in the sanctuary, so after the service, go get lunch, change your clothes, come on back. We're going to watch the seminar. It is not live. It is a taped one, so we'll just watch it, and then we'll have a Q&A and a discussion afterwards. As many people can come as possible would be great. We do need to hit, I believe, Paul, you told me 55, 60 people? About 55 or 60 people. It doesn't all have to be at once, though, so we're going to do as many as we can next week, and then we'll offer it again over Zoom and in person as many times as we need to until we hit that number. So have mercy on me, a teacher in the summertime, and let's see if we can get that done, as many of us as possible, so that we can cross the finish line and have our welcoming congregation status renewed. It's very exciting.
Yes, awesome. And a huge thank you to you, Clara, for all the work you've done this year to keep us on this path. If you are joining in Zoom today, feel free to pop into the chat and greet your neighbors that way. And if you're new and on Zoom today, make sure you let folks know so that they can greet you individually. And those of you in here, just turn around, greet your neighbor, say hi to someone you might not know very well. Just a little hello. And you can continue all that in our coffee hour. If you are on Zoom, you can light, and you have a chalice nearby, you can light it with me as our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again and invite this sound of the bowl to draw you deeper into the present moment, into the company of this gathered community. See how long you can just hear the bowl, the sound of the bowl fading after it's rung.
Our opening words today are from Bless Our Many Masculinities by Kai Flannery. We bless today all the masculinities with us and within us.
We bless you who shelter us and are queer, you who grow flowers, you who take up welding and are proud to work in a shower of sparks.
We bless you whose heart hammers at taking up a power drill, You who know the names of the birds and trees, each life regarded and held gently.
We bless you who paper over fear with swagger, your little bird heart beating fast, saying, "Let me be free, please don't laugh."
We bless those of us who don't have words for what we feel, whose strength lies in planning, hoping hard that action will be enough. There is a space for you in the landscape of vulnerability.
And we bless those of us who are confident, knowing in our bones our own value.
We bless those of us who live with disability, who find new ways of loving a body, its essence, its gifts, not just what it can do with ease. May we find a measure of strength again each day for the journey.
We bless you who try new things at age 60, 70, 80. May you find joy and not perfection.
We bless you who have to figure out how to relax intentionally, for whom retirement is a mystery to be tried one day at a time.
We bless you who never made enough money to retire, those who hesitate to sign anything because the law has always taken away and never given. May your name come to mean power and not suspicion.
We bless you who live with a government name or an assigned gender that doesn't fit. May the place where you live come to join you in embracing complexity.
We anoint those of us who don't seek health care, who seek self-sufficiency because it is safe and proud. May you learn the rest and risk of being cared for.
We bless those who find courage in speaking up for others. May you teach others your gift of saying hard things with kindness.
We bless you, you whose hearts are a brilliant magnolia print, and those whose hearts are plaid. Those who live your masculinity in a skirt and sequins and boots, who learned how to work a sewing machine in secret.
We bless you who wait for others to speak first, those who use your power to lift up voices around you, and those of us who don't recognize our power and need to be witnessed again and again to know that we are seen.
We bless you, we bless you, we bless you, we witness you.
We bless you who shelter us and are queer, you who grow flowers. Your children are all around you.
We bless today all the masculinities with us and within us.
All right. Well, we all get to sing today. I want to warn you, though, this song, which is 1019 in your teal, is not the easiest to sing along with. So if you feel like you just want to do it, then do it. But don't be worried about if it's right or not, okay? So if you would rise in body or spirit, number was 1019. Spirit's true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whoever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
Good morning. As we celebrate Pride Sunday today, we also celebrate Father's Day. In recognition of the many types of masculinity, I'd like to honor one type of father. And I'll just say that especially after singing that hymn, I may need my Kleenex here, so I'm just going to warn you. The fathers I want to honor are the working class fathers who fulfill their traditional role of provider through physically hard, often low-paying jobs. The fathers who work with their hands and their muscles and in settings that are often dangerous. I'm thinking, for example, of loggers, construction workers, garbage collectors, elevator mechanics, and meat packers. And I'm thinking of my father, Mitro Berzonsky. Dad was born into a family of Ukrainian immigrants who settled in central Pennsylvania in the early 1900s. At that time, U.S. coal mine operators were recruiting men from Eastern Europe for jobs in the mines. My grandfather was one of those recruits. He and my grandmother had 11 children, 9 boys and then 2 girls. My dad was their 5th son. He spoke Ukrainian at home, and he learned English only after he went to 1st grade. And he left school after 8th grade to help support his family. Although he had a couple of other jobs during his life, Dad mostly worked in the mines. Coal mining was physically demanding, uncomfortable, and dangerous. One of my vivid childhood memories is the sight of some men from the mine carrying Dad into the house and up to his bedroom after he was hit by a coal car. He recovered after a few days and he went back to work. Mine work was also very unsteady. The mines in our area were relatively small, and when all the coal had been taken out, they closed down. The frequent bouts of unemployment took a toll. Dad felt shame about them, and so did our family. Alcohol also took a toll. Like many of his mine buddies, Dad drank way too much. Often on payday, he would stop at a bar on the way home, while the family would wait for him nervously. His arrival was usually followed by loud, long arguments between him and my mother. And those times were hard for all of us. When he wasn't working in the mines, Dad loved being outside, where he continued his role as provider. He raised farm animals and planted a big garden. He also hunted, fished, gathered wild mushrooms and berries, and apples and nuts from the nearby woods. We kids, I had one sister and one brother, had moments of delight with Dad. We played ball, we flew kites that Dad made, we played cards, we played board games. I remember standing in the garden with Dad, eating ripe tomatoes that were still warm from the sun. He brought the salt shaker out so we could do that. But Dad spent most of his time being the father. He valued tradition, and he had some very conservative ideas. He taught us to work hard, to obey our teachers. But he opposed my going to college. He thought it was a waste of time and money for a girl. I went anyway, and so did my sister. Thank you. Dad faced prejudice because of his background, and he had his own prejudices about various ethnic and racial groups. He was a lifelong Democrat and a union man, but I think he might be a MAGA supporter if he were still alive. And if he were still here, he might well reject his trans grandson. I certainly don't agree or condone those views, but given Dad's times and circumstances, I understand them. To him and to all the fathers who did or are doing their best for their families, I say thank you. Thank you for your hard work, your commitment to your family, and for launching your children toward their own lives.
We're going to sing a song now, a lullaby. It's called the Seal Lullaby, and it's a poem. It describes a parent seal singing their child to sleep with the help of the rocking waves. And we thought this would be an appropriate song to sing to honor fathers, especially those fathers who might not see themselves as able to sing a lullaby to their child. And also, I'm thinking maybe singing this to those children who don't feel that tenderness from their father figure. Maybe they want it to show up in a certain way, and it's there, but maybe they wish it was there in a different way. So this is just to honor that tenderness of fathers to parents in whatever way it may manifest.
Have you ever cherished a place that brought you joy, that felt like home, where you could really just be entirely yourself while you were there? Well, Sylvia Rivera and Marsha Johnson did. They were trans sex workers in 1969, and there were precious few places that felt like home to them. In those days, Sylvia had been kicked out of her home at age 11 and had lived on the streets ever since. And Marcia had moved to New York City with nothing but a bag of her own clothing when she graduated high school. I learned about Sylvia and Marcia when I was preparing a lesson to share with my Gender Sexuality Alliance. Shout out, Vinny and Maeve. Oh, on the topic of Stonewall, and I learned even more after last summer. I binge-watched like every Pride documentary that was on any streaming service. There's a lot, by the way, and they're all really good. Learning about them felt like learning about my own heritage, and it was really powerful to me. I especially loved learning about Stonewall and the important roles that gay bars played in the queer community in our history. Stonewall was a place where people could dress like themselves when that was still a crime. Some places it still is. And a place to meet friends, sympathetic souls, people they could trust. A place to dance and let loose and find their delight. When it was illegal to be yourself, a gay bar was the closest thing to heaven. And when the police pushed in to arrest people, again, on June 28th, which was a very common harassment practice of the police in those days, Sylvia and Marcia, among their friends and companions, stood up and refused to be taken. They fought back. They fought for the space that meant safety and delight to them. In defense of themselves and of joy, they picked up a brick, which is why we celebrate Pride Month every June. Because of the fearlessness of Sylvia and Marcia, we've seen huge changes in our country. America had been taking steps toward queer liberation and queer joy. Gay marriage was legal. Trans people were at last, at significant cost and with many strings attached, accessing medical care. And the right of queer couples to adopt was upheld nearly everywhere nationwide. It felt like this place was getting better, little by little. Cities that had never had pride parades were now getting involved. Public acceptance of queer delight was on the rise. Now we need your help. Our safe spaces, our marriages, our medical care, our joy, and our rights are under attack. To save our delight, lots of us are picking up, literally or metaphorically, bricks. And despite the seemingly rising tide of queerness in our country, we are not enough to turn the tides on our own. We need you. As Marcia said, history isn't something you look back and say it was inevitable. It happens because people make decisions that are sometimes very impulsive in the moment, but those moments are cumulative realities. And as Sylvia said during the Stonewall Uprising, I'm not missing a minute of this, it's the revolution.
The raids that Clara was just speaking about in the 1960s and 1950s were really awful. Transgender folk, gay and lesbian, had to be street smart and very daring, and that's still the case today. Trans people down in the 1950s and 60s knew, for instance, that in the strip search raids, you could get away without arrest if you had at least 4 articles of clothing that matched your biological gender. So they would check each other as they went in and make sure they each had 4 articles that maybe they could slip by if there was a raid. But those raids were not as common at the Stonewall Inn. There was this differentiation between a private bar and a public bar. And in the public bars, the raids were more common, and there could be no dancing, and all sorts of things were regulated. But the Stonewall was a private bar. And it was the gay bar for the most marginalized people of the time. It was a place for gay homeless youth, for trans sex workers like Sylvia and Marcia to feel free. And it was one of the only places that gay people could legally dance together. Imagine that. That's not my alarm? Goodness gracious. Excuse me. And the Stonewall Inn also wasn't raided very often because it was owned by the mafia, who usually kept the cops away with a good payoff. Isn't that amazing? But for some reason, that wasn't the case in late June 1969. Here's some photos of the raids that night at Stonewall. They do contain images of police violence and a biological male in his underwear, so please avert your eyes if that would be challenging to you. But I wanted you to see the intensity of what was happening, and you might need to give it a full screen. Do you mind doing that? Oh, it is full screen over there. I'm looking at mine. Okay. When I think about the evenings of June 27th and 29th, because it happened 2 nights in a row, when the Stonewall Inn was raided, I cannot imagine both the terror, even though it was a regular happening, and the courage. What is that moment when an oppressed people say, enough? And how is it that something that starts out in violence can then turn into powerful, life-changing, transformational, life-saving protest? Now, of course, there's not one easy answer to those questions, but I do have a few suppositions. First of all, while history is often presented as a moment that changed everything, there are many moments and many, many people along the way that helped to build to that one transformational moment. The 1950s had seen anti-gay oppression in the U.S. intensify. Thousands of gay people were fired from their government jobs and the military during what was called the Lavender Scare. They were trying to root out homosexual service members, and that was when police were cracking down on gay bars around the country. And that was the time when the gay rights movement was in its infancy. It was actually called the homophile movement in its early days. The Mattachine Society was founded in 1950 by a communist organizer, Harry Hay. And they borrowed their structure from the Communist Party and remained a secret society for their own safety, where members didn't even know each other's names. Now that seems so sad to me, imagining like these folks were probably also trying to find people they could fall in love with and they could date. And here they were together, but they couldn't know who each other was, really. When they started organizing in the 1950s, there were just a handful of people involved. And I'm very, very proud that Unitarians were part of that movement. Reverend Harry Schofield, who was the minister of the San Francisco Unitarian Church, was performing civil unions as early as 1956. This capacity for us to be on this very and dangerous edge is such a beautiful part of our history. All those folks didn't know that they were building towards Stonewall. They didn't know that there would be a marriage equality movement that would make same-sex marriage legal throughout the country. They had no idea what they were moving towards, except for the values of freedom and connection, dignity, and love. My second supposition about why something like this happens is when people finally find a safe place, or let's call it a safer place, because if you are under the threat of raids every night, I'd hardly call that safe. I don't even know what that feels like in my body. But if you are in the company of a connection of people who have finally found a safer place to be, that freedom, that connection, that delight is hard to forfeit. And folks feel much more empowered in the company of others, as Greenwich Village in the 1960s was becoming the radically accepted place in the country. It's much, much easier to get to that place of enough when you're in a group of people who feel like your family rather than in isolated pods. I want to mention that this congregation has been one of those safe havens. We were the first indoor space to host Tides, the trans youth education and support group founded by Karen Axe of our congregation. That was probably a decade ago or more. Tides helps parents and their gender-expansive children and youth find each other and create a safer space to be together. I can't tell you how proud I am about that part of our history, and how when they first came to us, they needed to be so hidden. And how far we've gone in the last decade or dozen years where people are more safe, not safe, but maybe incrementally more safe. And it remains my vision that we play that critical role in this community. We need to continue to be providing a multi-generational, multiracial, queer and straight, cis and non-binary, welcoming of all community. Because people's lives depend on it. People's lives depend on it. Now, this may not be comfortable for everyone, but I'm going to invite you to put your discomfort aside for the lives of people for whom safety is not a given at any moment of any day. This is our great calling in Unitarian Universalism. This is who we have been, and this is who we will continue to be, and we will be on edges in the next generation that none of us can even think about. But people's lives are at stake, and our values of freedom, dignity, and respect are more needed now than they ever have been. May this be our promise and our prayer in this location, in this congregation, as well as throughout our denomination. Amen. Blessed be.
And if you're feeling like you want to express that power in some music, yes, I have good news for you. This one's easy to sing. So in your gray hymnal, on page 170, or number hymn 170, we're going to sing, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People." We are going to sing 1, 4, 5, and 6. If you forget, don't worry about it. If your body feels like it can, if you would rise with me, that would be beautiful. Oh, 1, 7, 0. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing
week we take time for community sharing of joys and concerns. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a concern, please put it into the chat, and I'll read those at the end of those who share here in the sanctuary. If you're here in person, you can come up over here right on this side of the table and briefly share what is in your heart today. And Gloria will put a stone in on your behalf, or you can put a stone into our sacred waters. And wherever you are, please tell us your name and where you live. Thank you. And one more candle for all of those joys and concerns that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, knowing that even in our silence, we are bound together in the web of life.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and of this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the Colorado Statewide Parents Coalition, formerly known as El Paso. CSPC's mission is to build power and support a movement in marginalized communities. Their aim is to change systems, build leaders, and train families and child care providers to strongly advocate for their children to succeed in school and beyond. CSPC envisions a community where all children are equipped with the skills to learn, supported by a village, and encouraged to succeed. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're at the fellowship today, you can put a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you so often do.
For the work of this fellowship and for the work of the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition, we dedicate our efforts and our offerings.
I've been waiting for this for a little bit. Pretty excited. It is my delight to introduce my former student, nationally known TV star, drag queen, Vanessa Shimmer.
Wow. Jealous. Oh my gosh. Huh? The bar's been raised, yes. That's what Janet tells me. So we extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, nor the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we proudly carry in our hearts until we meet again. I invite you to come down and join hands or link arms with one another, or if you would prefer, just hug yourself. Beloveds, this is who we are. Proudly, delightfully, joyfully welcoming the wide diversities of our human experience. Go forth in love. Go forth in delight. Bring it on out into the world. Blessed be. Amen. Happy Pride, everybody. Da, 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 da.